Ravens back at camp. Which of these two super teams might disappoint? Because I just want to be like, here's what we can't have. We'll find out in the playoffs.
Chiefs or Ravens more likely to win the Super Bowl? Well, you could do that too.
But who's more likely
We're not
to
supposed
disappoint?
to. I'm just telling you, you're always trying to do what the bosses want. The bosses don't let you. Our boss is in LA. No, he is a company man. Yeah, they just don't. They don't mind if our commentary is cutting. They don't like the graphics to it.
Who's more likely to win MVP?
There you go. That would have been
Lamar.
Yeah, probably.
But then the conversation.
Do you think? Maybe. That's kind of his thing. Everybody's got a thing. Lamar's thing is awesome regular seasons.
So far, that has been true.
Right, Kevin Wilds, Chris Broussard. We're starting with the Thunder have a leg up. Haliburton has a leg down. Hurt his calf early in the game, was ineffective throughout. Ends the night with 4 points, but didn't make a field goal. Only took 6 shots. Played a lot, though. That was strange.
Yeah.
Here he is on the calf.
I mean, it's NBA Finals. It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete, help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but, it's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can, walk, then I want to play.
Okay, your reaction to Haliburton's night and the latest news.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, Sham said he has a strained right calf. He's going to have an MRI. And that, of course, colors this a bit. Yeah. And I went to bed asking myself, was that the worst game I've ever seen from a superstar in the finals? Was it? And I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what? I can't remember one worse. Listen, the famously LeBron's game that's held around his neck forever, the Game 5 against the Mavs 202011. He had 8 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists.
I think his stature.
His stature, correct. And so, right.
And so, Larry Bird's first finals
had some rough ones.
8-point games.
Right. And so, but if we're grading on the curve of your greatness compared to the game, but if we are grading on, are you the best player on your team? Are you a star in this league? Did you play a lot and contribute close to nothing? It's on the shortest of short lists. Like, just guys. So Ray Allen in 2010 with the Celtics had an 0 for 13, but he's third best player on the team.
Yeah, and he was shooting.
And he was shooting. Reggie, and I'm not picking on Reggie, I promise, but it was the best player on his team. His first finals game ever, he was 1 for 16.
But being cold is
different. That I feel similarly. Oddly, Wilt in 69, in Russell's finals ever, had 3 single-digit games and 2 games where he took 6 or fewer shots. He had 4, 8, and 8. What offsets that is, A, he was up against Bill Russell, and B, he had 19, 31, and 18 rebounds in those games. So he was at least...
He used to routinely put
31 rebounds.
31 rebound game was pretty good. So
he was probably proven I can do more than
a guy who, in NBA history, and I know Haliburton wasn't an all-star this year, but he's a perennial all-star, he's the best player on the team.
He's a star.
The last all-star to play 30 minutes in a finals game, all-star that year, and have 0 made baskets was one of Wild's favorites, Slater Martin, that you have to go back literally more than 70 years. When you look up active players to play 30 minutes in a finals game and make 1 or fewer shots, it's a couple Kevin Love games, and then it's Draymond's on there a bit, and Tristan Thompson.
0-point game.
You know what I mean? Guys who are not primary scorers. Yeah. And I know that Haliburton is not a number 1 scorer. I get that. But it's unprecedented to have, in this game, with these stakes, and that, it's not like the ball was never in his hands. To have that game, it's as bad of a finals performance by a team's best player as you're going to see. I try not to be...
That's more caustic than I was expecting.
I knew that. So let me say this, and then I'll give it to you, Brew. I know people use hot take as pejorative or whatever. I don't mind it. But typically, my hottest takes are either kind of smart-assy or hyperbolic positive. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a long record of being like, this guy sucks.
Caleb's
this
going
guy...
to Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Sure.
Then there's
right.
that.
No, but that's
that's
hyperbolic positive. That's what I'm saying. I don't
Not
do a
ripping
bunch
a guy.
of this is the worst I've ever seen, and I don't want to be the face of like anti-Tyrese Haliburton, but it is what it is.
I didn't go into all the history. I will say this though, because those LeBron performances against Dallas, LeBron looked scared. That's the difference. Haliburton didn't look scared.
Sure.
Like he just wasn't engaged. But so that's, and obviously LeBron's a much higher caliber player overall. So you weigh that in. But I'm going to give him a little grace for the injury. Although, like you said, he played 34 minutes. And here's why I'm only giving a little grace because of it. Because he really looked like he looked outside of the end of game 1 and game 3 when he had the 20-plus points. And, you know, this is kind of how he's looked. This was by far the worst game. But the passivity and not being engaged and not being aggressive, this is how he's played kind of throughout the series. So on the one hand, I say, okay, the injury obviously affected him to some degree. But on the other hand, this is kind of how he's carried himself throughout this series for the most part. And I am probably the biggest Tyrese Haliburton fan on this show.
Yeah.
And I love his pass-first mentality. I love that he doesn't over-dribble, that he moves the ball and all of that, that he sets the tempo and all that. But in this series, he has been exposed. And what he's been exposed as is, and maybe the injury's a factor, but I've favorably compared him to all these first point guards I favorably compared him to a lot of the shoot first point guards. Said I really like that. We don't see that much today. The difference though is this: all of these shoot first point guards, Jalen Brunson, Damian Lillard, go on down the line. When they need to get a shot off, they can do it. Like they can shake you up, get their shot. He, at least in this series, is not able to do that. Now, I know against Cleveland, against the Knicks on those game winners, even the game winner here, he was able to create space. You know, he can dance a little bit, step back with the 3 or long 2 and hit it. But he's not like all these other point guards today who, whenever they want, they can get a shot. In this series, at least, it looks like he can't.
It's not just...
He can't just, you know...
Just get a shot. Not even necessarily a bucket. Get a shot.
Yeah. That's like, what it's looking like now. And so, like I said, that it fits their system terrifically because that's what Carlisle wants. Let's all move the ball. Nobody's going to handle it too much. But when you need a basket and your best scorer is Pascal Siakam, who is very good but not a superstar, he has not been able to do that. So there's an exposure there to some degree.
So you don't chalk that up? I chalk the majority of it up to the injury.
But he was moving.
Well, do you get what I'm saying in that he looked like most of this series, he has been this disengaged.
Even during the game, I'm like, man, he does seem to be moving okay, but maybe there's things that he's not doing, so we can't. He's not being exposed because you know what? I have no lateral movement, or I can't stop and really.
The injury is clearly a factor. I will say
the other thing is this, like, and Josh, tell me if I'm doing this off the top of my head, so tell me if I'm wrong. I think he has a single-digit scoring game in every playoff series of his career. And
he's had several during the season.
Right. And so I know he had a 4-point game earlier in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure in the Knicks series he had an 8-point game. Like, so he does have these games where he simply does not score. I just didn't expect it in game 5 of the finals especially when you add the context of his backup got him back in it. They're getting blown out. McConnell gives them this burst of energy. Right. It is a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. They can steal it right back. And you can't hold him to the standard of the guys who average 30 a game. Because that's not his game. And we don't hold them. When Shea had his 0 assist game, not that he's not a good passer. Nobody was like, why weren't you more like Haliburton?
Right.
But the standard of my best player can't have 0 made baskets is a fair standard.
Here's what he has to learn, and I'm sure his teammates love him for this. I think he enters every game. I don't think he's thinking, I got to get a certain number of points or I'm going to look for my shot. I think he's thinking, I'm going to run the offense, I'm going to set the tempo, I'm going to get the ball to the scores and all that. And when it's there, he takes what's there for him, and sometimes it might be 30-something, sometimes it might be 18. What he's got to learn as he matures is there's times when you have to go score. He can shoot.
Yeah.
The three, he has the floater. He can get all the way to the cup. He can get a mirror. Like, he has the offensive scoring package. It's just his mentality, which is great. But sometimes you do need to be selfish for the sake of your team. Like, I can score. Let me go get us a bucket.
And we haven't, at least I haven't gone through every single play again. But do you think part of that is Carlisle not running stuff? Not just an ISO, but just like, all right, let's get Haliburton a bucket here. Let Nembhard bring it up. Haliburton, we're going to run this for Haliburton. Like, simple stuff. I
don't think they do any of that. They'll get it to Pascal Siakam and let him go, maneuver. But I think their guys pretty much get their shots in the flow of their system.
All right, meanwhile, Jaylen Williams dropped 40 for the Thunder. SGA chipped in 31. Here's Jaylen on what really is a legendary night. Take a listen.
My answer is going to suck because it's kind of going to negate your question, but it's something more that I'll look back on later on than worry about what kind of statement it makes. I think the only statement we have right now is we're up 3-2 and we still have to go earn another win. But it'll be cool to look back on later on, and hopefully somewhere down the line I'll have a more fun answer for you.
Youngest players ever to score 40 or more in the finals.